Welcome back to the Unified Advanced League Winners interviews. We are into week number 3, and we'll be talking with two of the members of the Colorado State Rams as they took a 2-1 win over the Cafe Cuties. We'll be talking with JD, their coach, as well as Keetchie, who will be returning to the desk to get a little bit of insight and information into the coaching style of the Rams, as well as how they were able to gel together as a squad.
Hi, my name's Keetchie or Aiden. I'm the AD carry for Colorado State Rams, and I'm a Grandmaster ADC player. And so far, we're playing in a lot of leagues this year. And unfortunately, today we had our first loss in any game, but still undefeated for our series. So excited to be here and talk through what happened today.
Awesome. And then, of course, we do have JD, who is the coach of the Rams. And I think that's awesome. We get a little bit of the insight into the inner workings. JD, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, I am, as you said, I'm JD. I am the coach for CSU. I actually joined the team through a player who is no longer playing on the team. His name, some people may know him in the community. I'm Carson, LOL. He was looking at coming to the school, and so I got invited to try out to see how I would fit. I used to coach Carson at CU Boulder, and so he wanted me to come along to CSU when he was moving. So I got invited. They were playing in a tournament over the summer, I believe, yeah, Aiden was, and then a couple of our other players were together, and just kind of see how things would fit. Because I was actually about to quit coaching after CU's last season. I was ready to be done and just kind of move on with my free time. Uh, but when I met this group, when I met CSU and kind of saw their passion for the game and just their ability, the ability that they had to really succeed as a roster, it lit a fire in me. It really encouraged me to get back at it, and so I got back into VODing and got back into the competitive side of things, and I've been with them ever since.
That's awesome. Again, it's always great to hear that, players can really bring back that spark. And the spark of, a little bit of the questionnaire that we have here is going to start, of course, with your profile picture. Explain to us what the Sturgeon General is and where this came from, because I love it so much.
Uh, so it's my Steam name. There was just some a meme I saw one time of this it was just a fish and it said the Sturgeon General says, "I'm a fish. I have no idea how I obtained the rank of general." Uh, and that really spoke to me on a spiritual level, and so I made it my Steam profile and now it is a picture that is my visage for everyone to see.
I can understand that. And again, just how did I get to this location? How did I get to this current position of coach of a squad that's currently 3-0, right? And we'll go ahead and keep moving forward as, again, moving into week 3, you were looking undefeated. You did drop a game, but still out of the 3 that were contesting for the top spot into week 3 now with only, I believe, 4 weeks left in the regular season, you've at least secured that top berth. You will most likely make it into the playoffs. My question, of course, for you, JD, and we'll pass it on to Keetchie later, is how are you feeling about the current record and the current competition currently in this season?
I think I mean I have very high standards for my team. I have very high standards for them. I think dropping a game tonight, especially with the other team having a substitute, is very below our standards of what we would want to see. I felt like tonight was a pretty bad showing overall, especially in game two. We had again in every game, really our early games were really messy. We overstayed on a lot of plays and things like that. So um, I was happy to see them overcome some of those early game humps in game, especially in game three, and find their engages, find their angles, and really went back into the game. But my expectations would be that we would continue on the same track we have. I mean, we joined this league to win. We didn't join to lose, and so I'm confident that if we're playing the way that we ought to be playing, that we should continue the trend of 2-0ing. Again, I would consider a 2-1. You know, we still got to win on paper, but I would consider a 2-1 a loss for what this roster is capable of. So um, I'm not super happy with this week, and we'll talk about it in VOD soon. But but yeah, I would say as far as trajectory goes, if we drop a set, I would consider that a pretty large failure, just given the work that we have put in and the ability that the roster does have.
Ooh, alrighty. Keetchie, how are you feeling after that win? You heard it from the coach himself, but as one of the players, and especially in that game 3, a little bit of spice coming down there, it felt kind of rough and tumble in the early stages. How are you guys feeling being pushed to a game three?
I mean, I think I said before the series, I to one of the casters, maybe even you, they asked like, "How are you feeling about this week?" And I said anything other than a 2-0 is pretty embarrassing,
Mm,
given their roster and like their ranks, and especially now that they had a sub for this game, it's pretty embarrassing to lose game two. We earned the loss though, like we absolutely deserved that loss, and I think it was. I think it can be good to have situations like that. I've always said that losing scrims is better than winning scrims because you need to kind of be hit with the reality of where you're at, where you need to improve. I wish it didn't happen during a comp game, but I think recently we've really been slacking early games, like across everything that we've played, and usually we're just good enough mechanically that we dig ourselves out of the hole and we win fights. But I think when we start going into playoffs and the top teams in the nation, it's really gonna, cause a pit that we can't get out of when they don't let us come back in as easily. So I think it's okay that we lost the game if we use that as motivation to really, buckle down and improve where we're weak. But for now, I'm happy with it. We're tied for first or guaranteed first, depending on how Ferocity did this week versus 2-0 versus 2-1. So could be worse, but I'm always looking to improve.
yeah, that was the kind of staple, right? And you even talked about that game too. It was a deserved loss, and let's actually dive into that one a little bit more as well. We're gonna get into a little bit of the nitty gritty because game one looked like a surefire win. You guys stomped, rolled your way through. It felt like that perfect encapsulation of your entire team, everyone playing on point. And then game two, it felt like the composition got a little bit out of control, right? A lot of gambles across all the tables. Were those kind of personal flares? Is that a composition you've been kind of working on? What kind of sparked this almost high risk, high reward play style that unfortunately didn't pan out this time?
I can let JD speak a little bit more to the comp in a second. I say in my perspective, we had a little bit of a compositional failure. I don't think we necessarily drafted as well as we could have. I think we tried to hold on to our flex pick of Soraka a little bit too well. I think we were a little hesitant to send it in the support role. But it is what it is. With the draft we had, it's still a one game, but we just kind of let their jungle roll us. We had no respect for where their jungler was pathing and the plays that they could make. And I think if we all individually played better around the angles that they had available, it's certainly a win. On a personal level, though, I'm really kind of upset that I picked Zeri in that game. I said I was okay with it and that it could look good, but I really think the champion just hasn't found her spot yet. Right now, her Triforce build is still dominant, and it just feels pretty horrible in a lot of those matches. I think if I came today better prepared on things like Varus or Aphelios, maybe we're not in the same spot that we were, and so I kind of put that failure on myself. But we had individual misplays, and like I said, hopefully we can use that as growth in our bot review to be a little bit better about our early game pathing with their jungle.
Yeah. JD, any words about that game too?
Yeah, draft was definitely there were some mistakes in draft. I was already actually talking to Aiden about that and kind of what some of the alterations I would make. Now I will not share those publicly as I don't
Of
want
course, of
to
course.
leak strats, but there were probably three or four different responses that I should have that I could have or should have done differently at different points in the draft. And obviously hindsight's 2020 in the midst of draft. You have players telling you things and players lie to you a lot, so you have to make sure you don't listen to them too much. But um, you have all these things kind of going on in your head, and so you have to account for those realistically from from a player standpoint. Uh, Obviously, we can't allow a Jarvan to take over the early game. That shouldn't be happening to us. But from my standpoint, any time that I send my team out and feel like I have not given them the necessary advantages to win the game, because my goal out of draft isn't that my team is even with the other team. My goal out of draft is that we have a decisive way that we're comfortable winning the game and that I don't have to worry about our mistakes losing us the game. And so if we can make mistakes that lose us the game that hard, I feel like I have not done my job, and I would certainly say that was the case game two. That I messed up that draft, and the team then played poorly, and so that was a perfect storm of us getting absolutely stomped.
I think that speaks volumes to your coaching as well. Your players seem to have a lot of faith in you as well to even try, some of these kind of different compositions, kind of running with those ideas in your head. With your coaching, how long have you been coaching and what's your style? You would say, what do you tend to focus on? Is there any specific drills that you like to run, or is it a little bit more open ended for the players to experiment with?
I've been coaching for, I guess, about a year and a half, 2 years now. I've helped with various collegiate teams. Again, the first team I really got involved with was actually uh, a team that I don't even know if the college plays league anymore, but it was a team in Canada. Um, One of my friends had gotten thrown into a position, and I just kind of helped out, and it kind of sparked an interest for me. So, um, I went and helped the University of Utah for a while, and then was with again CU Boulder and now with CSU. And as I get asked a lot about my style. A lot of people see me, pick stuff like enchanters, like Soraka top and things like that, and so I get a lot of comparisons to styles like LS and things like that. And I don't I, I I don't hate that. I mean, LS is certainly one of the people that inspired me to get into coaching. I think that he is one of the more interesting people to follow. However, a lot of people don't realize that my favorite region, my favorite the region that inspires me the most is actually the LPL. I watch a lot of Chinese
Hey.
VODs. I watch China more than anything. I watch every single LPL game multiple times for some of them. Watched just a lot of previews for that. So I jokingly say it's somewhere between LS and the LPL. I messaged it to one person that I love Soraka top, but I also love Volley Bear. So somewhere in the so that would be kind of my theoretical style. In terms of actual coaching, I have a background in counseling. I actively work as a counselor, and so a lot of what I do on a coaching level is try to facilitate discussion between players and try to uh, work as a sounding board that can give constructive feedback, can kind of talk through the issues with players. But most of the time at this level of play, players are developing on a fundamental level in such a way that if they're playing the game and like doing good solo queue practice and they come to me every now and then, they're usually the ones that are like really trying are usually going to develop well on their own. And so I don't claim to be, an expert on a lot of things. I spend a lot of time again studying the game, but for instance, I don't need to teach Keetchie how to play Jhin. He's put 1 billion games on Jhin. But I do need to teach Keetchie how his play on Jhin is affecting his teammates and how his attitudes at certain points in the game while piloting Jhin, things that he feels and doesn't convey to other people are going to damage us no matter how many games he has on it. So I try to approach it from that role a lot more. Again, with that background as a facilitator, and allow the players to ultimately kind of have some freedom to explore and develop themselves.
That is an amazing philosophy to hold, and especially as someone that came in saying, that you were potentially thinking about ending coaching. Was there a specific point after meeting this CSU squad that made you go, "Yep, this is the team. This is the group that I want to try and coach to victory"?
Yeah. So when I first joined the group, um, Carson linked some tier lists I had made about the current meta, and the bot lane tier lists I had were rather objectionable to Keetchie and our support at the time. Plus, they had some large disagreements with some of the champions I placed there, and so I said, "Cool, let's talk about it." They made their own tier lists, and so we started from there. I saw the differences between them and between me, and I basically just asked for their basic trust in me and that I would have a basic trust in them. So if they told me with a beyond a shadow of a doubt that something that they believed was good that I thought was not good was what we needed to pick, and they could give me that confidence, I would hear them out on it as long as they gave me the trust that if I was saying the same thing, they would do that. When I saw the malleability of all the players, the willingness of all of them to drop ego and do what was best for the team, when I saw that kind of mentality amongst not just one player though, but the whole roster, it really made me say I can do something with this because one of the experiences that made me almost stop coaching was it was the final game of a playoff series, and one of my players demanded a certain thing be locked in. Said it would win us the game if it was locked in. And afterwards, he just said to me, yeah, Karma was better. Karma was the good champion to pick there, but I didn't want to go out of my collegiate career playing an enchanter. I wanted to play engage. So he told me basically I was willing to let the team lose. I was willing to, jeopardize that for everyone because I wanted to play my way. And so when I saw that that mentality was absent with this team, with this roster, it really gave me the encouragement that hey, I can really do something with this team.
That's an
Yeah.
amazing story to have. And yeah, Keetchie, any words for JD? Was there a moment for you as well?
Yeah, I was gonna say I think one important thing to say, like as a player under JD, is I have seen a lot of different coaches. I haven't like personally been coached by a lot. Like I've seen the way they interact with their teams. I've talked to them. I've seen the tier lists. I've seen just people's general thoughts on the game, and I really just don't respect most of them. I really think that a lot of people just have a bad viewpoint of the game, and they just echo whatever is good. And then the second something pops up, like all the hole breaker tops right now, like in all the pro leagues, they say, "Oh yeah, yeah, I've always said that was good. I always knew that was good. You guys just didn't listen." I'm like, dude, I see a lot of bandwagoning in the league community, and I knew that like if I were to pick a hole breaker champ, 6 months ago, they'd tell me it was bad. And then now that the pros are doing it, they're saying, "Oh no, I actually knew that was good." And that's like something that really bothers me, and I just never feel that way with JD. I always feel like he has a very reasonable viewpoint on the game, and there's plenty of times where he says, "I think this champ's good," and I say, "I don't see why that champ is good. Like, talk to me about it." And he'll tell me exactly why he thinks it's good, and then I will practice it in solo queue, and I'll come back and I can say, "Okay, I'm ready for comp," or "I'm not ready." And I think that's actually the sign, a very good sign in my opinion about how the team feels about the coach is that when I put like 30 games on Aphelios like in like 2 weeks recently because I knew that we needed it for comp, and the worst feeling was coming back to JD and saying, "I'm not ready for comp on this champ. I'm not good enough." And I think it's a really good sign when you feel a little bit of shame when your first thought is like, "I'm not good enough to execute what my coach wants." Because it's like I trust his viewpoint on the game so holistically that like I am the problem and not his perspective on the game. And so I actually immediately after a game I said, "Hey, I felt this way about draft in game two. Like I feel like we got pinched out in AD and I wasn't confident on Zeri. Can we talk about what I should be putting practice on?" And he listed 4 champs, which I'll keep private for now. And the first thought was, okay, well, I really don't want to this weekend, but I'm playing solo queue on those champs. Like I'm going to be ready for it next week. So I think it speaks volumes about JD when that's the reaction that players have.
To be able to draw out even humility or humbleness or even the willingness to change those problems that maybe you yourself haven't seen. I think that I have to agree. It's an amazing environment to be in, and it sounds like you have so much trust in each other as well. And I think that of course just spreads across the rest of the members. So that is an amazing philosophy to have, and it's awesome to see that it's working as well. Right, 3-0 moving forward, looking to close out the rest of the season here. We'll get into the final question here for both of you. Is there a team that you are excited to play against? I know you still have to face off against Ferocity. I think they're still up there. I think you also have played against, if I'm not mistaken, trying to take a look here and keep track. You played against University of Michigan JV and beat them 2-0. Of the teams that are currently remaining here in the season, is there one that maybe you guys have been scouting, really interested in playing, or is there a specific player for you, Keetchie, that you're excited to face off against?
I guess I'll quickly go first. I think of the teams remaining, Ferocity I care the most about because they look like the best roster. They're contending us for first place, and they seem like a good team just based on like the average ranks, which is all I can kind of go off of right now. I haven't looked into them too much, so I'm excited to play them. In terms of bot lane, me and Malevolent are the best bot lane in the league, and so I'm not really worried about anyone.
All right. JD, any team that you've been scouting in your free time, anyone that you want to kind of send a warning to, the shot over the bow to get them ready for their matchup?
Ferocity is a team with some of my close friends on it actually.
Oh.
The mid laner for Ferocity especially is a really good friend of mine, and the jungler as well. I used to play competitive with them back in I think Phoenix Rising League. We were the first roster of Ferocity, so
Oh.
a couple old teammates, a couple old friends on that roster. The only the only player or well the only player in this league that I have as much respect for as people on my own team, just because of how I've seen them think and play with the game, is the mid laner for Ferocity, Rough Beans. He is, I'm not going to say he's better than any of my players, but if I were to say anyone was better than anyone on my team, it would be him. He has an incredible work ethic and view of the game, and he's someone I admire a lot just as a player. And just in a team environment, he's someone that's really willing to do what's necessary for his team. So I'm looking forward to playing against him. Every week he messages me to make sure I'm still undefeated and that he's still undefeated. So our goal is to meet one another with undefeated records and see who can come out on top. But yeah, Ferocity is the team I'm definitely most looking forward to play, but kind of more as a meeting up with an old friend and going against him as opposed to as an enemy.
It's the person that you meet in the back alley to beat up, and then you go get drinks later. I think that's what I heard right there, and that is the
Yeah,
best type of friendship to have. Again, JD and Keetchie, thank you so much for the interview. Congratulations on the Week 3 victory, and looking forward to what else you have in store for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank